Derby County finally picked up their first victory of 2025 after they beat Blackburn Rovers 2-1 on Saturday afternoon at Pride Park Stadium. But this afternoon they face Coventry City at Pride Park Stadium. It's two home games in a row before they head down to Plymouth on the weekend. Now, as we all know, Derby County have a wide range of injury issues heading into this game, including some big names who aren't going to see the pitch for the rest of the season. Coventry City come into this on incredible form with former Derby County manager Frank Lampard at the helm. Now, will Coventry City be able to get their sixth win in a row, or will Derby County be able to put a stop to another playoff contender? Derby County are looking to fight for safety. They find themselves 4 points away from safety at this current moment. You'll see the league table on screen now. It's 4 points from Cardiff as they come up against Luton Town on Tuesday afternoon as well. It's going to be a very interesting set of fixtures for everyone in the league table, especially those battling for playoffs and relegation. Derby County need an absolute masterstroke from John Eustace and able to win in this one. Missing out on players like Corey Blackett-Taylor, Curtis Nelson, Dejon Brown as ones we know, but then adding to that list, Harrison Armstrong is a doubt heading into Tuesday night, as well as Lars-Jørgen Selvison and Ben Osborne being ruled out for a majority of the rest of the season. Kemar Roof and Ryan Niambi have also picked up injuries. They're going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, which practically takes you to the last 3 games of the season. Coventry City have some injury worries of their own, with Epsom Mason-Clark suffering with physical discomfort. He's expected out until the end of March, and Jack Rudani with a dislocated shoulder heading out until the end of April. Now, let's look at the previous form of these two sides. Now, Derby County have been in the trenches. They have really struggled in recent weeks and months, with obviously not winning the game until Saturday in 2025. But they picked up their first victory and their first home goals under John Eustace with a 2-1 victory over Blackburn Rovers in what was a really important win for not just Derby County and John Eustace, but also the morale of the fan base and the confidence of the team. But obviously, we do know that there's been some difficult results. Losses to Middlesbrough, Millwall and Queen's Park Rangers, as well as a draw to Oxford and Norwich. It's difficult. It's been a very difficult run for Derby, and that's why you see them at the bottom end of the table. You look at Coventry City in their last 5, 3-2 versus Stoke City, 3-2 versus Oxford United, 2-1 versus Preston North End, 2-1 versus Sheffield Wednesday, and 1-0 winners over QPR as well. That finds them in the playoff positions. We've already looked at the league table. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look into that playoff race which Coventry City find themselves in. They are in a very comfortable position that realistically, even with a loss, it's highly unlikely that they'll drop out of the playoff positions, with West Brom facing up against Burnley on Tuesday or Wednesday evening. You obviously then look at the gaps that they've got further down. Realistically, anyone from 13th and above could end up in the playoffs this season. We've seen those types of runs happen from now. If you go back to when Frank Lampard was in charge of Derby County, you saw a massive run from Aston Villa that season, who went from mid-table on I think it was like a 15-game unbeaten run to make them finish, I think it was 5th in the end, and ended up going all the way to Wembley and securing promotion. And who's to say that Coventry City aren't on that run right now? Since Frank Lampard comes in, I think they've been the form team in the division. Absolutely unbelievable. They currently lead the form chart with 5 wins in 5, 11 goals, 6 conceded, 15 points on the board. Only Burnley are close to them with 13 points. You've then got Pompey and Sheffield United, 12 points, which is massive for Portsmouth, who find themselves well out of that relegation scrap now. And I think everyone above Pompey can sort of consider themselves safe in this league table. Now, if we look at the head-to-head of these two sides, if we go back to November, which was Mark Robbins' last game in charge of Coventry City, Derby County picked up a 2-1 win with Jerry Yates getting both goals. I believe one was probably put down as an own goal. But if we look at the history of this game, it's 3 wins for Derby, 4 draws apiece, and then 4 wins for Coventry City. And there's some really good players on both sides of the field. Now, obviously for Derby County, the big question is going to be is who is fit and available. We saw on the weekend Harrison Armstrong came off with an injury. What's his name? Sondre Langas came off with another injury. So we're in that sort of difficult spot for Derby County where we've lost a few players over the week to injuries. We've had the return of Kane Wilson. We've had returns of Liam Thompson getting back into the side. Kenzo Haldmine is fit and available. Marcus Harness has picked up some really good form in that game versus Blackburn Rovers. Will Jeff Hendrick be available? Now, obviously for Derby County, the big problem that they're now facing is they only have a natural number 9 of Jerry Yates. Kemar Roof and Lars-Jørgen Selvison both injured. Connor Washington out. out of the squad, unregistered. Mendes Lang out for 4 to 6 weeks. Caden Jackson, Tom Barkhazen are the only wide players available for Derby County, which is why I think Derby County went to that 3-5-2 formation that they went to at the weekend, which worked really well. And you have to give massive props to Harrison Armstrong at the weekend. Now, he went down a few times towards the end of the game, and I do believe he'll probably be fit and available this weekend. I do think he will. This week, midweek, I do think he will be available, but I think he was, in my opinion, if you're going to give anybody man of the match, it would have gone Armstrong or Forsyth for me. Armstrong was incredible. 14 out of 21 completed passes, which isn't great, but he was breaking up play. He was getting balls into the final third. And if we just look at 7 interceptions, 11 defensive actions, 4 recoveries, won 3 duels, lost 4, was fouled once, only committed 2 fouls. 18 years old, he looks like an absolute masterstroke in midfield, and he was just everywhere. And don't get me wrong, could he have done better? Could he have been better on the ball at times? Yes. Could he have done more in a tackle? Maybe. But I think he was incredible for what he did, and I don't think you can underestimate the return of Kane Wilson. Kane Wilson at the weekend was unbelievable. Now, wasn't there to be making loads of passes, doing loads of things, but 2 out of 4 successful dribbles, getting crosses into the box, passes into the final third. And it was brilliant, in my opinion. Kane Wilson was unbelievable. Now, a lot of people, I don't think, will understand. Now, I think a lot of people understand the quality Kane Wilson holds, but a player that can carry the ball like he can is unbelievable, especially someone that stepped up from League One to the Championship so seamlessly. And a return from injury like he did yesterday, completing, ended up being over 100 minutes of football if you include first half stoppage time and second half stoppage time. I'm very impressed by that return. We've got to make sure he is fit for the running. I think there's 10 games of football left. Now, obviously, let's take a little bit of a deeper look now into Coventry City, who have been on an incredible run of form since the arrival of Frank Lampard, and that cannot be understated. Frank Lampard, since arriving, 21 matches, 13 wins, 3 draws and 5 defeats, averaging 2 points a game. And you cannot discount Coventry City in this promotion battle right now. Now, obviously, Derby County will be hoping that they can spoil the party. 5 wins in a row. Their last 2 defeats came against Premier League Ipswich and Leeds United, who look set for the Premier League as well. But other than that, their previous defeat was the 4th of January versus Norwich City. It's been a very good run for Frank Lampard, and if you look at the squad, you can see why. Some really incredible players within the squad. You look in the midfield, Matt Grimes. You look at Rudani, who's obviously a player who is expected to be out. Sheath is a good player. Torp is a good player. You go to the forward line, Thomas Asante, Mason Clark, Haji Rai, Ellis Sims, Sakamoto, Jamie Patterson, Rafael Rodriguez. There's so many good players within this squad, and you can see why they're in the position they're in. Now, one thing that we do have to be careful of heading into this game is not getting too above ourselves, let's say, because Derby County have a habit of not being able to consistently win games, and we've seen that across the course of the season. It's why we're in the relegation zone. But for Derby County to be able to come out on top of this one, is it going to come from conceding possession? Is it going to come from counter-attacking football? That's something which we're going to have to see. Now, obviously, if we go and look at the Stoke City game, it was a really late gasp goal from Thomas to be able to secure the 3 points. Obviously, Torp picking up 2, Sakamoto and Van Iwick picking up 2 assists as well. It was obviously, where is he? Where is Thomas who scored? Thomas in the back 4, Bobby Thomas picking up that third goal, for Coventry City, but lining up in a 4-3-3, which is very similar to what Derby County will probably remember from Frank Lampard's time at Derby County. And you then look at the players that they've got on the bench. It's an incredible bench for for Coventry City, Thomas Asante, Haji Wright, Laboutier, Ben Sheaf, Jamie Allen, Bradley Collins, Jake Bidwell, Lewis Binks and Jamie Patterson. If you compare that to the bench of Derby County at the weekend, where realistically it was youth products for the most part, and you obviously then look at, there's a couple of first team names in there, but if we do just take a look at that, Matt Clark, Caden Jackson, Kenza Heldmine, Josh Vickers and Tom Barkhazen as the first team names. You've then got youngsters of Jake Rooney, Owen Eames, Charles Agabuzweku, Ibuka we'll call him, and Lennon Wielden coming up, who are available on the bench. And obviously with further injuries to Selverson, Roof, potentially Armstrong, potentially Langas, that depth depth on the bench is just going to get a little bit worse, and you could potentially see, obviously, the introduction of Jeff Hendrick on Tuesday night. I think we're more likely to see him on Saturday versus Plymouth Argyle, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it would be nice to get Owen Eames, Charles Abuka, Lennon Wilder and Jake Rooney on the pitch, but you've got to make sure we're picking up points. And I completely understand why that they didn't come on versus Blackburn Rovers. Obviously, it was really important that we made sure we secured the 3 points because we really, really needed it. And this is going to be a massive, massive game for Derby County. Massive game. Are they going to be able to secure 3 points? Are they going to be able to secure a point, or is it going to fall to defeat versus Coventry City? It's a big question on the lips of every Derby County fan at the moment. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what John Eustace does this weekend. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content. If you have reached this part of the video, drop a ram in the comments like we have done in some previous videos. I want to see who gets all the way to the end, and I want to know your thoughts down in the comments. I do reply to every single comment, so I'll catch you later on today. We're going to talk a little bit more about Derby County and their injury crisis. I'll catch you up later on.